started, I will be requesting you all to write down your name, your roll number. And yes, recording has started. I will requesting everybody to write your name, roll number, and at present in the chat box. Okay. So let me share my screen. Yes, I hope it is visible. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think we have completed up to this part. We are talking about transient stability in our last class. Okay. So I think we have been able to differentiate between steady state stability and transient stability. Now, as you have seen this figure that we talked about, this the point Y, the point A is called a stable equilibrium point, and when the point B is called an unstable equilibrium point, that has been discussed in the previous class. Okay. So please go through any book, you will be finding all those things written again. Whatever I have said, that is again written there. Moreover, we will be again going through this particular figure. Actually, that is P versus delta curve. We'll be talking about equal area criterion of stability. Will be, if possible, we should be able to finish it by today. Okay. Before I start, do you have any class from 4? 4 means can we extend the class up to 4:15 or 4:30?
Sir, from 4, I think SKC ma'am will take the class.
Okay, SKC ma'am will take the class. Okay, then up to 4 will be fine. That's not an issue because we are very much near the end of our syllabus actually. Okay, because power system stability, and then what we have our function of the excitation systems, and with that we'll be actually finishing our syllabus. Okay, so let's get back to the class. So as we have understood that from the knowledge of synchronous generator, that in the generator what happens, that the mechanical input is the torque. Okay, so mechanical input is the torque and our electromagnetic torque is the output. Okay, so we can define them as, so we let Tm.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can you please explain again how the point A was the stable point, a stable
Oh,
equilibrium
again
point?
the same thing.
Ma'am, sir, actually, if we have shifted the point A to the D, then why it will not go up to the origin? Because if we are shifting at
Yes,
point
yes,
D,
yes. Okay, okay, okay. I am again starting from. I am again repeating this point. Okay, I am again
yes,
repeating this point. So please listen carefully. So what we considered one thing, that PM was our input torque, input mechanical torque. Okay. So if we draw the PE versus delta curve, that is electrical output versus delta curve, this PM torque line is taken to be constant. Suppose, okay, this line is taken to be constant. So what we have two cases, as you can see in the right hand side. In we have two cases. What we are seeing, that we have two cases at this point A and at this point B. So this point A, as you can see, the corresponding delta value can represent it as our delta 0, and the point B, the corresponding delta point or the delta value can be represented as delta max equal to pi minus sine inverse Pm by Pmax. Okay. Now, as you can see that at this operating points A and B, the values, that is Pm, will be equal to Pe. Okay. As you can see, that is the electrical curve, and the Pm would be are equal. Now, what is this curve is? This P is nothing but equal to this Pe is actually equal to Pmax sine delta. Correct? Okay. This is what it is. Okay. So that's why we are getting this type of curve, half sinusoid. Now, we have two conditions. As you can see, when Pm is greater than Pmax sine delta, and when Pm is less than Pmax sine delta. Okay. So when Pm is greater than Pmax sine delta, what we are seeing is that the mechanical input power is more than the electrical output power. So what will happen? There means there is more amount of energy in the system. Correct? Means more amount of energy system. Why? Because the mechanical input is greater than the electrical output. That's why there would be more amount of accelerating power in the system. This accelerating power will lead to the increase in the kinetic energy of the rotor, and the speed will be increasing. Okay, that is what happening. So what is happening? The speed is increasing, and at Pm less than Pmax sine delta, what we are seeing, that at Pm less than Pmax sine delta, it is just the opposite, that the mechanical power is less than the electrical power output. So since the electrical power output is more, whereas the input power is less, so to meet the difference in load requirement, the balance power would be drawn from where? It will be drawn from the stored kinetic energy of the rotor, due to which what will happen, the speed decreases. I hope these 2 points are clear. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us talk about that why we are saying what we are stating at A point and B point. Now suppose we are perturbing this value of delta 0. Okay, we have perturbed this value of delta 0 from this position to this position. Let this one be our delta 1. Okay, somehow we have perturbed. Okay, then what will happen? So as you can see, the corresponding to delta 1, the operating point is at C. So so what we are seeing is that at this operating point C, the electrical power output PE is greater than the mechanical power input. Correct? That the PE, the electrical power output, is greater than the mechanical power input. So what will happen? The rotor will be decelerating because the extra energy, because mechanical input power is less, where the electrical power output is more. Means the extra energy is drawn from where? It is drawn from the stored kinetic energy of the rotor. So the rotor would be decreasing. Okay, so it is decelerating. That's why it is coming in this direction, as can be seen from this arrow. Okay, it is coming in down in this direction. Now your question. So what it should have happened? So what we are seeing, that since at C again, what we are seeing at C, we have omega r equal to omega s. Okay, so this was the condition, means the synchronous speed was achieved, but we are seeing that PE is greater than PM. That's why the rotor would start decreasing, so it would be going back in this direction. Now it should have stopped at A, correct? But it is not stopping at A. Why? Because it has some inertia. Okay, because it had some inertia, so it cannot stop at point A, and it will decelerate further to this point D. Now your question is why point D and why not at the origin point or at 0? Correct?
Yes, sir.
The answer is nothing but, since when it is decelerating again, so again a condition will be reached when we have omega r equal to omega c. Means again at D, again our synchronous speed would be achieved. Okay, because this is decelerating a certain speed, no? So again at D, what will happen, that that at point D, again this omega r will be equal to omega s, means we again synchronous speed has been achieved, means what is means it will not be moving more than D. Understood? Yes. Now at point D, what is happening? Again we are seeing that at point D, that the mechanical input power is more than the electrical output power. So at point D, the electrical output power is less than the mechanical input power, means there is more energy in the system, there is accelerating energy in the system, so the motor will start to accelerate. Means it will now try to move in this direction. Okay, it will try to move in this direction. Okay, so if so this continuous to and forth motion will be going on until and unless there is some sort of damping in the system, which will be damping out, and it would and the point where the mechanical input power should be equal to the electrical input should be equal to the electrical output power. At that point, the operating point settles down. Understood?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay. Shall I explain again point B?
No, sir.
I think you have got the yes. Okay. So as you can see that so where we are talking about, we have talked that as you can see what I was telling, that we can define that in a synchronous generator, mechanical input power is the input, means mechanical torque is the input, and the output is the electromagnetic torque. Okay, so we can define Tm as our mechanical torque and Te as our electromagnetic torque. Okay, as our electromagnetic torque. Okay, so what we are considering? We are considering that we have a synchronous generator, obviously a cylindrical rotor synchronous generator. Okay, for a generator, we are considering that the accelerating power, that is Ta, is equal to Tm minus Te, and is positive. Means we have that the rotor is accelerating, or the rotor accelerates. Okay. That is, we are considered Tm is greater than Te. This is the general idea on which we will be trying to define what equation? The equation that we will be trying to define is very important, which is known as our swing equation. Okay, on this idea of Ta equal to m minus te, that is the rotor is accelerating, we are trying to define the equation which is known as our swing equation. What is the swing equation? This is the behavior with this swing equation describes the behavior of a synchronous generator during transients. Okay, this equation describes the behavior of a synchronous machine during transients. Okay, so let us see that how can we actually define this particular means how can we deduce this particular swing equation. Okay, so what we can write from the dynamics of rotational mechanical system, what we can write? Okay, what we can write? We can write Tm minus Te, which be equal to I into alpha. Let this be our equation 1. Okay, what is I? Obviously, I is the, where I is what? I is known as our inertia constant, correct? Where I is the inertia constant of the rotating machine. Okay, obviously that would be in kg meter square. Then what we have? Alpha. What is alpha? Alpha is the also written as d2 theta m by dt square. This is the angular acceleration of the rotor. Okay, and what is theta m? And this theta m is the mechanical angle of the rotor field axis with respect to the stator reference or the fixed reference frame. Okay, so as you can see, there is theta m is the mechanical angle of the rotor field axis with respect to the stator reference. Now what is happening, as you can understand, that the rotor is continuously rotating. Okay, so the rotor is continuously rotating at synchronous speed in steady state. So what will happen, that this theta m will also be continuously varying with respect to time. Okay, so how can we make the angle theta m constant? Then we can make angle in theta m constant in steady state, so that we can measure this angle by taking a synchronously rotating reference frame instead of a stationary reference frame. Okay, instead of a stationary reference. Okay, so I'm again repeating what I am stating is that as the rotor is continuously rotating at synchronous speed in steady state, so theta m will also be continuously varying with time. Okay, means varying with respect to time. So to make the angle theta m constant in steady state, we can measure this angle with respect to a synchronously rotating reference instead of a stationary reference. I hope you are getting my point. মানে আমাকে যে রেফারেন্সটা চুজ করতে হবে যার রেসপেক্টে আমি থিটা এম কে মাপবো, সেই রেফারেন্সটা একটা সিনক্রোনাসলি রোটেটিং রেফারেন্স ফ্রেম হতে হবে ইনস্টেড অফ আ স্টেশনারি রেফারেন্স। তবেই আমি থিটা এমটাকে আমি মানে অ্যাজ আ কনস্ট্যান্ট ওটাকে আমরা ডিল করতে পারবো। সো হাউ উই আর গেটিং দ্য ইকুয়েশন? সো উই ক্যান রাইট থিটা এম অ্যাজ ওমেগা এস এম টি প্লাস ডেল্টা এম। Let this be our equation number 2. Okay, where this delta m is nothing but delta m is the angle between the rotor field axis and the reference axis rotating synchronously at omega sm revolutions per second. Okay, understood? We can again understand it later by a simple figure actually. So let us draw the figure actually. Let this be our frame where we have our resultant air gap flux wave. Okay, I means it should be in the middle. I hope you are getting the point. So this is omega sm t. Okay. So what we are seeing here, these are the field poles that I am drawing. What are these actually? These are the resultant air gap.
ये ड्राइव खोल लिया कुछ नहीं है यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं है
Hello,
यहाँ फैमिली के फोटो है
hello, somebody is talking. Please, please mute yourself. Okay, so what we, as you can see from here, what we have here, so this is the resultant air gap flux wave, and this is omega sm. Okay, and this is the field pole. Okay, and this is the value of delta m that we're talking about. So between this and this is our delta m. Okay, that is the delta m is basically the angle between the rotor field. So this is the rotor field axis and the reference axis. So this is the reference axis that is rotating synchronously at omega sm. Okay, and this is the rotor field axis. So as you can see from this figure is denoting the space angle between the axis of resultant air gap flux wave and field pole. Okay, so as you can see that the space angle between the axis of the resultant air gap flux wave and the field pole is in figure A. Let this be our figure A and this be our figure B. So in figure A it is 0 at t equal to 0, and the space angle between the axis of the resultant air gap flux wave and the field pole is delta m at any time t. Okay, it is delta m at any time t. I hope you can understand this. Okay, so that's why when we are trying to find out the value of delta m, that would be equal to omega sm t plus delta m. Okay, now let us talk about equation 2. The how can we what we're doing with equation number 2. So what we can do is that in equation 2 we can write it. Okay, we can write equation 2 in terms of our electrical radiance. See, these are means electrical radiance. Because why we can write equation number 2 in terms of electrical radiance? Because we know that theta E is equal to P by 2 into theta M, and we know that means omega Sm is equal, or 2 by P of omega Sm equal to omega S in our electrical radiance, and similarly delta can be written in terms of our P by 2 into delta M. Okay, if that is the case, then equation 2 can be written as in electrical radiance, that is in electrical radiance. Okay, equation 2 is written as theta equal to omega st plus delta. Okay, now let us differentiate this. So let us differentiate this. So differentiating both sides. Okay, differentiating both sides of equation, let this be equation number 3. Both sides of equation 3, we have, see, d theta by dt equal to omega s plus d delta by dt. Okay, again differentiating both sides. Of equation 4, what we are getting? We are getting d2 theta by dt square equal to d2 delta by dt square. So angular acceleration of rotor, which is alpha, can be written as how much? It can be written as d2 theta by dt square is nothing but equal to d2 delta by dt square. Correct? So what we can write? We can infer alpha equal to d2 delta by dt square. This is in electrical radians per second square. Okay. Now again, if you write equation 1 with respect to our in terms of electrical radiance, then we can write Tm minus Te is equal to I into alpha. So if you are multiplying both sides by omega, so what we are getting? We can write omega Tm minus omega Te. Remember, this omega is in electrical radiance. Okay, what we are getting? We are getting omega into I into alpha. Okay, if this is the case, then what we can write? Again, so as you can see, what is omega Tm, omega Te? It is nothing but our Pm. This is our Pe. And what is this? This is our accelerating power. Okay, so this where what we are saying, Pm is equal to our mechanical input power or mechanical power input. Okay, Pe is our electrical power output. Okay, and Pa is our accelerating power. Okay, Pa is our accelerating power. Now what we can write again? So again, see, Pa can be written as what? Omega into I into alpha, which is equal to omega into I into d2 delta by dt square. So omega into I is nothing but our m, that is our angular momentum. Okay, so in terms of angular momentum is m into d2 delta by dt square. So m is our angular momentum, which is again equal to, as you can see from it, is equal to omega into I. Okay, so what we can write then? We can write then Pm minus Pe can be written as m into d2 delta by dt square. Okay, so this is one half of the swing equation. This can also be stated as our swing equation, but again we can break it down. How? So now what we can write? We can write this H. H is the inertia constant of the generator. Okay, H is the inertia constant of generator. So if H is the inertia constant of generator, It is nothing but the ratio of the kinetic energy stored at rated speed, okay, by the machine rating, okay, by the machine rating. A kinetic energy stored at rated speed, it is given in what? It is given in, I think, megajoule per MVA, okay. Means this means the unit of this inertial constant is megajoule per MVA. So what we can write from here? So H can be written as how much? So kinetic energy means half into I omega square. The machine rating is G. So I into omega is what? Is M. So M omega by 2G. Okay. So what we can write, M then is equal to 2GH by omega. Again, omega is equal to 2 pi F. So if you write in this way, so the 2 to cancel out. So it becomes GH by pi F. So the ultimate equation that we are getting is PM minus PE is equal to GH by pi F into d2 delta by dt square. This represents the dynamics, this equation represents the dynamics of synchronous machine known as our synchronous generator. So in per units, again, in per units, this equation can also be written as how much? It can be written as PM obviously in per unit minus PE in per unit, which is equal to H by pi F. So since we are using per unit, means both the sides of the equation were divided by the machine rating. So PM per unit minus PE per unit will be equal to H by pi F into d2 delta by dt square. So I hope this is clear. So this is the swing equation, and this is also the swing equation in per units. Okay, in per units. Okay, so this swing equation represents the dynamics of the synchronous machine known as our synchronous generator. Okay, understood? I hope
Yes,
it is
sir.
clear. Okay, so from this expression actually we are getting the curve which is known as our swing curve. Please remember this curve is known as a swing curve. Grandfather যখন জিজ্ঞেস করা হবে swing curve মানে p delta curve টা নয়, swing curve মানে only delta versus t curve. Okay, so delta versus t curve, this is known as our swing curve. Okay, which shows how much the value of this delta is actually varying. Okay, it may be something like this, means it may be this is delta 0, let it be delta 1. So it may be something like this, that it is settling to a new value, means it is a, this is a transient stable condition. And if it is increasing, I think I have shown this figure in the last class also. Okay, so if it is something like this, means it is an transient unstable condition. Okay, transient unstable condition. Okay, so why this swing curve is useful? Because this swing curve is useful because it helps in determining the adequacy of the relay protection on the power system. Okay, so means what do you mean by that? We mean that since it is determining the adequacy of the relay protection on the power system, so it basically states that after clearing the fault, okay, or we can state in this way that whether clearing of the fault leads to loss of synchronism or not. Okay, that can be determined from the value of this swing curve, means from that can be determined from this swing curve. Okay, I hope it is clear. So let's jump to the other portion, which is the swing curve or the swing equation, or the swing curve, actually swing equation for synchronous machine connected to an infinite bus. Okay, for synchronous machine connected to an infinite bus. Okay, so what we have here, let us draw the figure. So as you can see that this is our infinite bus and this is our synchronous generator which is connected to this infinite bus through the transmission line XL, suppose. Okay. So what is the swing equation then? So the swing equation is H by pi f d2 delta by dt square equal to Pm minus P max sine delta. Please remember that what we have written here, we have written the per units values. Okay, all the quantities except obviously delta are expressed in per units, and the delta value is expressed in our radians or in degrees. Okay, so what is this P max sine delta? This P max sine delta is nothing but is our PE, and why we are writing it is in this way. We can write it this way as also in this way also. So it would be mod E versus into mod E by x into sine delta. Okay, we are writing this term as our P max. And where is x? X equal to, as you can see from the figure, it is xd prime plus our xl. Xd prime because we are considering transient reactance. Correct? We are considering transient reactances. Okay. Now what we can say that the synchronous machines are all connected together in parallel, correct? They are all interconnected among themselves in parallel. So when the synchronous machines swing together, okay, when the synchronous machines swing together, they are known as coherent machines. That is synchronous machines which swing together are called coherent machines. Okay, means what do you mean by then coherent machines? Means two synchronous machines are swinging together, means two synchronous generators are swinging together. What do you mean by that? We mean that even though their speeds are different, the power angles may be same. Okay, even though their speeds are different, their power angles may be same, and they can be, and it may be possible to represent them on a single base. Okay, so the net effect of such swinging is known as our coherent swing. I'm again repeating, when we are saying that the two synchronous generators are coherent machines, means the two synchronous generators are swinging together. It means that even though their speeds are different, the power angles may be same, and it may be possible to represent them on a single base. Okay, so what we are saying that the net effect of such swing is known as coherent swing. Okay, it is known as our coherent swing. Okay, so let us consider, we're seeing this through an example. Let us consider two generators, 1 and 2, and both are interconnected, or both are connected, not interconnected, they're connected to a common system base. Okay, so if that is the case, then again what we are saying that all the units are in per units basis. So for generator 1, the swing equation would be what? The swing equation would be H1 by pi f into d2 delta 1 by delta t square equal to Pm1 minus Pe1. And for generator 2, what will be having will be H2 by pi f d2 delta 2 by dt square equal to Pm2 minus Pe2. Now what we are saying? We are saying that they are coherent, means they are swinging coherently. So due to coherent swing, what we state that if their speeds are maybe different, but their angles, okay, that is the power angles will be the same. So due to coherent swing, the rotors of the machines would be what? Would be, both of them would be equal to delta. Okay, due to this is due to this coherent swinging nature. So what we can do is that we can add these two equations. If we add these two equations, what we are getting? We'll be getting H equivalent by pi f d2 delta by dt square equal to Pm equivalent minus Pe equivalent. Okay, where our Pm equivalent will be obviously equal to Pm1 plus Pm2. Our Pe equivalent would be equal to Pe1 plus Pe2. Delta equivalent, if we write this one is our delta equivalent. So delta equivalent is equal to our delta, and H equivalent would be equal to H1 plus H2, which is nothing but, can we written in this way, H1m to G1m by G system plus H2m into G2m by G system. So if there are n number of machines swinging coherently, so then the H equivalent of the inertia constant of the generators of the total system can be represented in this way. So what we are seeing that these two machines can be replaced by one equivalent machine. Okay, these two machines can be replaced by one equivalent machine. Okay, that is what we are knowing as our, means when we said that they can be represented on a common base. So this is what we are saying, that they can be represented as a common base. Now what is happening? So suppose now we have a two machine system where one is our synchronous generator and the other is a synchronous motor. Then if that is the case, then what will happen? If that is the case, that is one is a synchronous generator and the other is a synchronous motor, then the swinging that is obtained is known as our non-coherent swing. Okay, it is known as our non-coherent swing. So how then the net effect is obtained? The net effect here, when one is our synchronous generator and another is a synchronous motor, then the net effect of such swing is obtained by subtracting the swing equations. Okay, is obtained by subtracting the swing equation. So if you take the same two examples, so for generator 1 we have H1 by F1 into D21 by into d2 delta 1 by dt square equal to Pm1 minus Pm2, and suppose we have in the other, in the generator 2, let that be a synchronous motor. So that is given as our H2 by pi f into d2 delta 2 by dt square equal to Pm2 minus Pe2. So if we subtract them, what we are getting? We'll be getting something like this. Okay, we'll be getting d2 delta 1 by dt square minus d2 delta 2 by dt square is equal to pi f into Pm1 minus Pe1 by H1 minus Pm2 minus Pe2 by H2. So let multiplying by both sides, multiplying both sides by H1 H2 by H1 plus H2, the simplification yields H1 H2 by H1 plus H2 into d2 delta 1 minus delta 2 to pi f into Pm1 H2 minus Pm2 H1 by H1 plus H2 minus Pe1 H2 minus Pe2 H1 by H1 plus H2. Okay. So again, what we can write? So we can write this expression as H equivalent by pi f into d2 by dt square delta equivalent equal to Pm equivalent minus Pe equivalent. Okay. So where this H equivalent is this, delta equivalent is this, Pm equivalent is this, and Pe equivalent is this expression. Okay. I hope you are clear. Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So as you can see again, that no non-coherent swinging, again the non-coherent swinging can be represented as a as a equivalent one machine which is connected to an infinite bus. Okay, we can again means these expressions are quite similar to this expression. Okay, so that's why what we are seeing again, that this coherent and this non-coherent swinging, both these equations can be represented as a swing equation as a synchronous generator which is connected to an infinite bus. Okay, both of them can be represented. Okay, so as you can see, understand that when we are using this type of swing equation, so when we have a multi-machine system, so each machine will be having a separate swing equation. So consequently, it is the relative displacement between power angles of the machine that is essential in determining the system stability. Okay, it is the relative displacement between the power angles of the machine that is essential in determining the system stability. So what is happening in a multi-machine system is that a single machine is chosen as the reference, and the rotor swings, that is the change in the power angles of the remaining machines, are determined relative to the reference machine. I'm again repeating, in a multi-machine system, what happens? A single machine is usually chosen as a reference, and the rotor swings, that is the changes in power angles of the remaining machines, are determined relative to the reference machine. Okay, so how can the stability will be maintained? So we can say that the stability is maintained if the machine rotor returns to a stable operating state relative to each other. Okay, so how can we say that the stability can be maintained? A stability can be maintained if the machine rotor returns to a stable operating state relative to each other. Then only we can say that stability is maintained. I hope it is clear. Yes. So let us do a typical problems on this, and with that we'll be finishing our class. Okay, let the problem number 1. So what we have a 200 MVA, 100 kV, 50 hertz, 4 pole turbo generator. Oh, it has an inertia constant of 6 megajoule per MVA. Okay, so what we have to find? Find the stored energy in the rotor of synchronous speed. Okay, find the stored energy in the rotor and the machine is operating at 120 megawatt when the load is suddenly increased to 160 megawatt. Find okay, I think now PowerPoint is hanging. Yes. Okay, I have to write it down again. The question. I think the slide is not visible now, no?
No, sir, it's not visible.
Because the PowerPoint has created some problem. Let me again open it. This is the problem of teaching in online class.
So most of the engineering college has reopened.
Okay, now it is visible, I suppose. Yes, it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's start back. So let me write down the problem again. So 200 MVA, 100 kV, 50 hertz, 4 pole turbogenerator has an inertia constant of 6 megajoule per MVA. So first of all, find the stored energy in the rotor of the synchronous generator. Okay, and V is the machine is operating at 120 megawatt when the load is suddenly increased to 160 megawatt. So find rotor retardation. Okay, so let us see the find the solution of the problem. So what we have a 20 MVA 100 kV 50 Hz 4 pole turbo generator which has an inertia constant of 6 megajoule per MVA. Find the stored energy of the rotor. So stored energy is very easy. Stored energy, how can we, is nothing but equal to how much? Stored energy is equal to G into H, that is the machine rating into our inertia constant. So machine rating is 200 into inertia constant 6, that is stored energy is how much? 1200 megajoule. Okay. Next, what you have? So the machine is operating at 120 megawatt. So the load is suddenly increased to 160 megawatt. Means our at the first concept PM was 120. Means now the load is now how much? 160. So that is what would be a PA. So now it is not be accelerating power, it would be a decelerating power, correct? It would be our decelerating power because the load is increased. So we have 120 minus 160 comes out to be minus 40 megawatt. Okay. So what is our inertia constant then? So our expression, we know that M equal to how much? M equal to GH by pi F. So GH is how much? 1200. Pi F, pi is 120 and F is in 50. So it comes to be how much? 2 by 15 megajoule per electrical degrees. Okay. And we know that PA is equal to m into alpha. So alpha is the rotor acceleration. So alpha would be equal to how much? PA by m comes out to be how much? Minus 40 by 2 by 15, which comes out to be how much? Minus 300 electrical degree per second square. Understood how it is coming? Okay, very simple problem. So I do not have the time for the other problem. So let us finish here itself. And in the next class, we'll be talking about the other problem and we'll be completing our this power system stability. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm stopping the presentation. I'm stopping the recording also. Okay.